Hey everybody, how you doing, Ian?
Hi, Andrew. All good, buddy. How are you?
Good, very good. So it looks like some people are starting to come in. We got John Williams, my friend John Williams, your friend John Williams. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is this contraption working? It is. It is. Good to see you here, John.
John's always welcome.
So yeah, so welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching from. John says hi, guys. My friend,
Hey, William.
Williams here. That jumped. So yeah, William. Hello, Andrew and Ian. Yeah. And we got Heinrich from Germany. Good to see you, Heinrich.
Hey. Heinrich's getting some lovely, juicy stuff posted out very, very soon.
We got the Adobe family in the house.
Brilliant.
We got Bobby. Good to see you, Bobby, from New Orleans.
Rainy Texas. Is there ever such a thing, John? Rainy Texas?
I think they need rain in that desert type of weather, right? LA needs rain, but...
well, come to Belfast. You can have rain anytime. We don't just get rain. We get rain with rain.
So someone says, my main mate, Ian. So by seeing that, it says Facebook user, let me remind everybody to please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pics so I'll be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. If you are watching from the Facebook groups, you just go underneath the live, StreamYard.com/Facebook, give it a click, give it permissions, jump on back.
My main mate, Ian.
We got someone from the Dominican Republic. Nice.
On my holiday.
Happy holidays.
Every day's a holiday.
Heinrich says, yes, Ian, thanks. Great. Cool. So yes, people coming in now. Welcome. Where are you watching from? Let us know. I'm in Los Angeles, where it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And Ian's in Ireland, where I think it's the same type of hot temperature too, which is strange.
It is insane. We don't get this type of weather. In this room earlier on today, I was saying to Andrew before the session started, the temperature in this room was 39 degrees Celsius, which is over 100 and something.
102 degrees Fahrenheit.
So we don't get that. So what I actually did is I packed everything up and I went and put the gazebo up and sat outside with the gazebo over me, with my laptop and with one of the products I'm going to show you, which is the small tablet and the quick keys. Because it just matches the size of the screen. So I sat and worked out there all day, which is great. Plenty of fresh air, my puppy dog running around after me. All good.
And that was DYC Studios, said my main mate, Ian. But yeah,
Ken's in the house.
Yep. That's Kenneth, right?
Is indeed.
So don't be shy, Kenneth. You can give your permissions to StreamYard, show your face and name.
Come on. You're not shy. Ken's not shy. You should do a session with Ken.
Oh, I
definitely do a session.
We're trying to schedule that. Yeah, I've seen him on Behance Live, Adobe Live a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll see John. I want to see John on TV. I want to see him on screen.
Yeah, we got
Mr. Williams.
Do a live with John. Maybe all three of us do a live sometime too, right? That'd be cool.
Well, we should follow up what we were talking about the other day.
That's right.
There's
he is.
Quite a good bit of that.
Good to see you there, Ken. Now it should work. My main mate, Ian, he says.
He's a good guy.
See his photo and all that. Okay, so Ian, do you want to introduce yourself and let us know what you love so much about Xencelabs?
Thanks, Andrew. Firstly, thanks everybody for coming today and joining in. It's lovely to see so many friendly people, friendly names. Hopefully the chat will stay friendly and not ask too many awkward questions as we go through the session. But I'm happy to answer any or follow up even after if there's any that I can't answer. So some of you guys already know me, but for the ones that don't, my name's Ian, Ian Sayers, and I have a title which is Chief Coffee Drinker. That's my main title. Anybody asks me what my job description is, it's Chief Coffee Drinker. Because titles don't really matter in this world. It's what you do and how you do it. And it's how passionate you believe in what you do and how many people you can impact and help. That's what gives you a title in life, and that's what you should live for, and not be all-encompassing about a fancy title and a fancy role and things like that.
Right.
I do have a formal title, and the formal title is a global manager for customer engagement and training for a company which is called Xencelabs. Xencelabs, as you can see in the logo, which is just up here, is spelt with the X. And the name Xence is to do with your five senses, and labs is to do with experiments and laboratory and just experimentation of being creative. So it's a great name for a company. Now, for those of you who don't know me and don't know my background, I've joined Xencelabs in December of last year. And before I joined Xencelabs, for 14 years prior to that, I ran my own business. And the company was called Giant Associates. Everybody within the industry would have known me from part of the company, which was called Giant Training. And with Giant Training, it took me around the world doing training courses for Adobe and on the Adobe products. I worked directly for Adobe and for some distributors and resellers. And we went to their key clients and corporate accounts and delivered formal courses to upskill. So the main emphasis was training for 14, 15 years. Prior to that, I was a designer, I was a web guy, I was an animator, I was a printer, I was the public official, the whole way back through the day.
So bottom line, you're saying you've been lazy, right?
Yep, I have literally sat on my backside delivering training courses, and it's been great fun. The time that I was actually doing Giant Training, I also had a lovely title, which was a Wacom ambassador. Right. So for 14 years, I ran the UK, Ireland, and parts of Europe for Wacom and helped them grow their brand and literally just cement them within photography industries, within videography industries, and help them just promote the brand. But I was never employed by Wacom. I was always external and ran my own business in doing that. And that was great. I absolutely loved the products, loved the company. They at that time they were second to none. There was nobody that could come close to them as far as the quality of products and what they delivered. And for 14 years, I totally loved working with Wacom. So roll on those 14 years, COVID hit, and a lot of people think, oh, COVID hit, so you changed everything around, and maybe business wasn't going good for you, and that's why you took a job, and that's why you changed things around. Total opposite. When COVID hit and the world went into lockdown, we became more busier than what we ever were. We were doing Zoom training courses before Zoom became popular. We were working with Adobe, with companies all around the world, even as far as Australia, the other side of the world, delivering courses for them through Zoom, through Blue Jeans, which is the Adobe one, and through some old Adobe network screen sharing applications that they had. So when COVID hit and everybody started panicking and wondering where they were going and what they were doing, we didn't have time to take a breath. We were just so busy running courses, which was great. It was always good fun. But it got to the end of COVID and we suddenly realized that what do we want to do within the company? How do we want to do things going forward? And my passion has always been training. It's always been education. So we were in a very comfortable position and we decided to split the business from Giant Associates just down to the training section and then also the print and the design and the branding. And we had a nice comfortable separation of different roles and positions within the company. And I carried on doing the training. So that would have been in March 2021 that happened. So from March until December, I was running my own business, doing my own thing with just me, with still my key accounts and clients. And I was very happy. I was doing 4 days a week in the business. I was comfortable with other things that I'd set up to make sure that I was fairly financially secure and comfortable. I'm the type of person that likes to dabble in little bits of things. I have multiple streams of income coming in from different places, which is great and something I would recommend everybody does. And it came till roundabouts July, and a company contacted me. I was still a Wacom ambassador. The company contacts me and says, "Hey, Ian, remember me?" And the girl in question is she's in the US, Hannah, and she says, "Hey, remember me? I used to be in Wacom years ago. I left, and I'd like to send you something." I went, okay, send me something. I like gadgets. I like gizmos. Let me see what you've got. And she sent me a tablet, and she told me, I'm sending you a graphics tablet and what's called quick keys, and we want you to have a look at it. So the first thing I said is, ooh, hang on. I'm a Wacom ambassador. I don't really like the idea of somebody sending me a tablet for me to have a look at. But okay. So she sent me an NDA, signed the forms, got the tablet, and as true as I'm sitting here, my hand on my heart, 1 hour and 30 minutes after opening the box and plugging the tablet in, I contacted the folks in Wacom and I resigned as a Wacom ambassador.
Crazy.
I didn't need to do this. There was no obligation to do it. There was no commitment from Hannah and the team for further work. There was nothing. I did have further work that I could be doing with Wacom, and it was lined up. But 1 hour, 30 minutes after playing with what I'm going to show you guys today, I resigned from being a Wacom ambassador.
Wow.
Now, a lot of people look at me and think that maybe I had a midlife crisis and just had a brain meltdown or thereabouts. But I like gadgets. I like gizmos. I like technology. But more importantly, I like things that connect the technology to people. And I like the creative exploration of how things are going to work better for people. And it's always about pushing the boundaries. And 1 hour, 30 minutes was playing with what they have. And I don't even mean putting it through any major paces or trying to set it up in any major way. I just simply mean playing with it. And 1 hour, 30 minutes later, I resigned from Wacom. And yes, Wacom were totally shocked. And they started asking loads of questions of which I couldn't answer because of an NDA. That was roughly around June, July time. And then come October time, I'd done some PR and some press with Xencelabs, and they offered me a role to come into the company to try and help them build the brand, build the company, but more importantly, to connect end users to the tablets, to the quick keys, to show people just why I love it. And it's not, I could hide this and I could sit here just with my own t-shirt on and I'd still be just as nerdily passionate about talking about this tablet and what it can do.
Excellent.
So that's kind of my life story, guys. I've been training. Even when I worked in an ad agency in the design company as a designer, I ended up trying to learn more, do more, and then showing other people within the room how to do things, how to speed up their workflow, how to just change, how to change what they do within Photoshop and InDesign when we had no formal training on Photoshop and InDesign at that time. I went and worked in a training company because I went and learned how to use After Effects, and I learned how to use Director and Lingo. And then I was approached by a training company on behalf of Adobe to go and teach that to people. So it's always been focused around training people and getting them this, what I call a light bulb moment, when you just switch the light bulb on and everybody just gets it and understands. And that's what I'm hoping to do today with you guys.
And I wanted to say you have some new friends that joined today. So we have Mika says hello. Good to see
Good
you.
guy.
And then Andrea.
Looking forward to seeing you, Max.
Andrea's
hey,
here
Andrea's
now.
in the
Happy
house.
Teach.
Andrea, we need time. We need time together. We still have to have that time together. Andrea won one of our pen tablet medium bundles at the ACP network. So she has the bundle, and we just need to have some time together with her.
Excellent. Cool. Shall I share your screen and let you start rocking and rolling?
Absolutely. Before you share the screen, I'm just going to flick over to this view just for 1 second. So what I'm going to show today, excuse the messiness of my desktop.
It's pretty organized.
But what I'm going to well, some people have seen this desktop before when we did the ACP Creative Tuesdays or Tech Tuesdays. And what I have is I'm a Star Trek nutcase. So some people know I have a nice little communicator connects to my phone. I had this turned off. I turned off my enterprise that kind of flies around this place, my gadgets and gizmos. But what I want to show you is these guys, which is the tablet. Now, this is a white tablet, which you can see here, just so you can get an idea of what it is I'm going to do. I'm going to flick between different screens and different cameras so you can see. I like this because at this desk, you can see the black mat that I use, the desk mat. So the contrast works really well. And for me, it allows me to show off what's called the quick keys and how this actually works, and lets me kind of flick between it. But before we jump in and share screens, I'm going to open up a few more gadgets and gizmos just to show you what I'm going to be talking about and how I'm going to set it up. So as I say, the company is Xencelabs, and this is a lovely little case that comes with the products. And inside the products, inside the case, there is a pen tablet, a black pen tablet. Now, this is the medium-sized tablet. You can see it's the same size as the white. It's called Nebular White, and then this one is the medium-sized tablet. And so you get a case, you get the tablet, you get what's called the quick keys. This is the black version of it. I'm using the white version just today because of the contrast that's on it. Andrew and I were running through some things. You get this, which is a case, nice hard case. And in it, you get 2 pens, you get a whole series of nibs, you get a nib extractor, and you get a dongle. Now, the dongle also has an adapter depending on what type of computer you have. So you either need the normal standard USB cable adapters, or you can plug that in to the adapter and go into USB-C. Now, let me just say 2 pens. 2 pens, not one.
So
the first pen.
Yeah, I was going to say the pens look different, right? It's like,
yeah, so the pens bit for the black or the white, exact same. There's 3-button pens and a 2-button pen. So I get into a bit of trouble for saying this, but I say it every time, and it is what it is. But this is called a 3-button pen. Now, what it basically means is there's 3 buttons here, 1, 2, 3. But you know what, guys? We also have an eraser. So I actually like to call this a 4-button pen. Technically, it's a 3-button and an eraser, but it's 4 because you can program that eraser to do anything you want as well. And you can customize these buttons. So the closest equivalent pen to this would be the Wacom Pro Pen, what's called Pro Pen 3D. And Wacom charge roughly about $99. The price could vary, but it's roughly between $89 and $99 to buy that pen. It doesn't come free. You got to do an extra purchase. So Xencelabs actually have that 3-button pen, and we don't call it a 3D pen because these buttons can be programmed for Photoshop, Lightroom, your Mac Meal, any application that you use. And I'm going to show that in the demonstration. Now, the slim pen, the thin one. What I want is just within the chat, and obviously if you're watching this on replay or on YouTube later on, you can add in some comments and we'll come back to you. But how many people out there actually have one of these, which is an Apple Pencil? Anyone have an Apple Pencil?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the Apple Pencil you have to charge, and you're going to be working on your iPad, and all of a sudden you forgot to charge your pencil and it starts to die on you. Our slim pen has the 2 buttons. It has an eraser. It does not need charged. It does not need charged at all. But it's built on the same principle as the Apple Pencil. In other words, it's a slim pen. It's a very thin pen. So some people like the thick pen. Some people prefer the thin. And what I always say to people is, well, you know, if you're working on an iPad, if you're in any of the Adobe apps on the iPad, then it's so easy to jump from the iPad over to the tablet and onto a computer and still use the thin pen when you come onto the tablet, because what I call is the weight differential is very similar to the weight differential within the Apple Pencil. So someone's just commented they have the Lenvo pen. It's very similar to that as well. Yep. And so I love pens. I love pencils, and I'll show you a box later on where I've got close to, I think probably close to about maybe 100 different styles of pens, digital pens, proper pens, pencils. I love notebooks and things like that as well. But I love, again, if I hide the whole Xencelabs badge and employment status and things like that, I love the weight of this pen for the slimline. Now, this all comes with the cables, everything else that you need to get you up and running.
Nice to have that option, that's for sure, to have both.
Yeah, Andre, it just gives you so much more flexibility. So let me show you this one. This is the baby. As you can see, the case itself is compact. It's smaller than the actual medium tablet. And when I open up the Velcro, in here we have our small. So you can see the size difference between the medium and the small. Now, this actually is my go-to device. So I'm working right now, and what I actually have right now in front of me, if I switch to this over-the-shoulder camera, you can see there's a big display up here. There's a laptop over to the side. There's a keyboard sitting here. So when I'm working in this scenario and I'm at the desk, I like to use the medium for the extra size so that I can go across the screens. But whenever I'm actually sitting on only my laptop, so all day today I've been sitting out at the gazebo. If I'm traveling with work, then this is my go-to device because it matches to the size of my laptop and it feels so light, so portable, and it goes everywhere with me. Nice. It has the same pressure sensitivity as the medium. It has 3 buttons at the top, same as the medium. It has colored lights, the same as the medium. Everything about this little guy is the same as the medium, except for the size and obviously the cost. Other than that, it works identical to the medium. Slightly cheaper in price, less expensive, and less size to make it that little bit more compact and portable for you. So you can just pop it in the bag and away you go. You still get all the adapters, the nibs, the pens. You get everything that goes with it. What you don't get with the medium or with the small is the actual quick keys. So the quick keys can be purchased separately, and it comes in this little case, little hard edge shell case. So you can actually purchase that and keep it and travel with the small. And again, you get the cables, you get the dongle, you get the adapters, everything to get you up and running. Now, I had a question a few weeks back from someone who was saying, well, I've got the small, I've got the quick keys, and now what I need is 2 ports on my computer, one for the tablet and one for the quick keys. And that's not the case. So the dongle that you get either with the tablet or with the quick keys, this little guy, plugs into your computer. And the minute you plug it into your computer, if I switch over to my desktop, you'll see this is our settings panel. So this is the Xencelabs settings panel. And the minute you switch over and you plug in both the quick keys and the tablet, then you can come into this section, which is Manage Wireless Pairing, and you can connect the 2 of them together.
And does this automatically pop up when you plug in the dongle?
When you plug in the dongle at the very start, you run through the setup and it'll ask you what products do you have. Right. And if you have the quick keys and you have the small, then it automatically sorts this out. You don't need to go there for it, Andrew. It works automatically and fixes it. But if you buy the quick keys after you've bought the tablet, then we have some tutorial videos online which walk you through exactly what I'm showing here. Yeah, all you do is plug in.
I was saying, Micah says, I really want those quick keys.
Let's just say there's going to be some.
Wait till everyone sees what you can do with this thing. I was like, I didn't even know, and then Ian gave me a little taste of it, and I was like, whoa. So
yep,
it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. It can get pretty crazy as to what you want to do and how you want to do it. So, guys, the family of products is basically the medium tablet, the small tablet, the white tablet, which is called Nebula White, and then obviously the quick keys. You can't get the quick keys on its own. This guy, the white version of it, cannot be bought on its own. The white only comes with the Nebula White bundle deal. And Andrew has some special offers and things to present to the group later on as we go through it. Right. Because we're going to be working with Andrew quite a lot over the next lot of weeks and months. So make sure you're subscribed to Andrew's channels. Make sure you're well watching all of the events that Andrew's running over the next lot of weeks and months. Because there's going to be some pretty cool surprises and updates coming through cool. From Andrew's network as well. So really looking forward to working going forward with this. So let's jump in. Let's have some fun is what I would say. So I'm going to switch my screen over to this mode, Andrew. If I go to
solo, went back to solo mode.
Yes, please. Okay. If I just flick to here, so you're going to see me in the corner. You're going to hopefully see a little overhead shot, and then you're going to get an idea of what I have on my screen. And as I say, this is the medium tablet. And one of the first things I'm going to show you is just how easy it is to pick this tablet up. Now, That sounds really silly. How easy is it? You can pick a tablet up. What Xencelabs actually did is, if I flip this over, you should be able to see just here a little groove, and it's on either side of the tablet. And it just means that when you're sitting at your desk, your hands and your fingers can slip in underneath. So that if you wanted to, you can push your seat back, pull this down, and sit with it on your knee very comfortably. Another very simple, but one of the things which really got me was, if I hold this up ever so slightly, you should be able to see that there is a curved, gently curved surface just coming down to the front of it. I hold it kind of like there. Now that is something so simple in its design. I just keep wanting just to go like this with it. It's just so simple in its design. But what it means is, if I'm sitting and I'm retouching, I'm drawing, if I'm fixing images, just look at how easy my hand is just sliding down this tablet. I'm not catching any hard edge. Everything's just nice and glides around the screen. And it just makes working on the tablet so much more easier, so much more straightforward. To me, that alone was a nice little game changer. Now, I know a lot of people, from talking to them, common sense made simple. Yeah, it just makes sense. That's a phrase that I absolutely love. It just makes sense. And it's something which is really, really important to me, is that it has to be just common sense. So here's the thing.
And John says this is enabling my gear acquisition syndrome.
I'm sorry if I'm going to cost you all a lot of money to go out and buy it, but when you hear the price of everything that you get, it's cheaper than the other competitors that's on the market. It's less expensive when you put everything together as a bundle deal. And Andrew also can help on that even further, which is great. But guys, all the other tablets that are out there in the marketplace, they operate on what's called a 16:10 aspect ratio. Now, when I say 16:10, I get one of two reactions. I normally get, okay, yeah, and people have no idea what I'm talking about. Alternatively, they go, oh, really? Wow. And they get a little bit of excitement going. So the reason why 16:9 aspect ratio is so important, and what that means is these little colored bars you see around the tablet, they match what I've got on my screen. And the reason why that's so important is that if I set something circular down on my tablet and I were to draw around a circular object, I actually get a circle on my desktop. So when I explain that to people, they normally go, well, is that not natural? Should we not expect to get a circle on our display if we draw a circle around our tablet? And what I want you to do is, I want anybody who has any other tablet, it doesn't matter which company it comes from, their tablet out of the box is 16:10. So any other tablet company that you buy a tablet, their tablet aspect ratio is 16:10, not 16:9.
So Ian,
when you draw a circle, it gets an oval.
So Ian, we have Dave Clayton in the house. Says, best bit of kit I've added to my studio in a long time. Thanks to Ian.
Dave was meant to phone me on his way home today. I'll catch you tomorrow, buddy. Dave's great. So it does just make sense, guys. See this circle? Now, there's a good friend of mine, Glenn Juice, who's just done a review video for us. And I would recommend you go. Don't listen to me telling you all about the products and how wonderful they are. Talk to Glenn, talk to Dave, talk to Tony Harmer, which some of you guys may know. Ask them what they think of the products. Ask Andrew. Andrew has one of our products. Don't listen to me telling you how wonderful it is, because you'll automatically think, well, Ian works for the company, so of course he's going to tell us it's wonderful. That's not the case. If I have any problems or bugs with this, I'm going to tell you, because that's what I've done for my entire life. I'm not just going to sit here from Xencelabs and say all the best things about it. It's hard to find anything negative about it, because if I draw that circle around that circular object and I get a circle on my screen, if I use a different tablet brand and I draw a circle and I get an oval, some people set their illustrations down. They still draw it with pencil and paper. They set their illustrations down on the tablet surface, and then they draw over them and they watch them come to life on screen. If you do that on any other tablet on the planet, because it's set up out of the box as 16:10, your image is distorted. If you try to retouch, then your hand-eye coordination is all off slightly, because you have to retrain yourself.
Right.
We took away all of the buttons down the side of the tablet so we could give you a bigger area, and that's where the quick keys comes in. And this is kind of where I want to jump in and do a little bit of demonstrations to what the quick keys can do for you and how it actually works. Because I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I'm also going to open up Lightroom. I'm going to use Lightroom Classic on this demonstration, and I'm going to start off in Photoshop. Now I have my quick keys already pre-set up for how I work. I have my tablet buttons programmed for what I want them to do. And I also have my pen configured for how I want it to work. And I'm going to literally just show one or two of those settings before I actually jump in and show you some things in Photoshop. So I'll start off with the tablet itself. Tablet, the colors that are around the outside of the tablet. If I go into the tablet itself, I can choose which application at the top that I want to change. And at the minute, I have Photoshop selected. So if I was in Photoshop and it was at the front, then I could choose that I want the color around the outside lights to be blue. And you can see this just illuminated around the outside. So if I go to this view, you can see the colors around the outside of the tablet, and I've changed to blue.
Nice.
If I change that to say yellow, I can go and you can say, hey, to look the yellow. So what this basically means is I can customize this to what I want for Photoshop. If I wanted then to jump into Illustrator, I could say I want them to be green. And I can change the 3 buttons that are at the top so they do something completely different in Illustrator compared to Photoshop. So if you look at my Photoshop setting, I have it so it's nice and bright. I'm always working with a bit of a light on. Sometimes I switch the lights off and the room goes a little bit darker. And if that's the case, I want to be able to look down at my tablet, just glimpse down at the tablet, notice what the color is. I know what application I'm going into, and I jump in and play. The same goes for the quick keys. There's a circle that goes around, the dial that goes around the quick keys. And I can change and customize that. Now you'll notice here that on my tablet for Photoshop, I have the middle button set for V and the right button set for B. So no prizes and no gimmicks. Everyone that uses Photoshop should know that B is for the brush and V is for
paste.
Yeah, your normal selection tool. Command V gives you a paste, but V just takes you to your normal selection tool, your arrow, your pointer selection tool. So they're things that for me, I use a lot. And instead of me having to go across the keyboard and press B or V or anything else, instead of reaching to the keyboard, I'm bringing them down onto the tablet or onto, Mega's just said the move and the pointer tool, it's the exact phrase. But I'm bringing any of the keys that I push here on the keyboard, that instead of me reaching to the keyboard, I'm bringing them down onto the quick keys, or I'm bringing them down onto the tablet, or I'm bringing them down onto the pen itself. So my 3-button pen actually has D, which is default for the first button, X, which is the middle button, and the right click, which is the top button. Now, what does X do when you're in Photoshop?
Cut.
Anyone know what X does? Andrew?
Oh, it toggles the foreground and background colors, right?
It does. So why is that really important? Well, if you're using masks, you want to jump foreground and background colors. I push B to go to brush. I can then D for default my brushes and make sure they're black and white, and then X so I can swap foreground and background colors. And I can do that all just by pushing one button on the tablet and then using the pen just to customize that. So this is all how I work. And the quick keys, I don't know if you noticed that, but the quick keys just actually switched off. So let me just very quickly, my quick keys is called Snow White. I'm a big Disney fan, and we named it Snow White. Now, we're actually going to be running a competition soon. So I have the black quick keys, and the competition is to see who can figure out what the name of my black quick keys is. And it's a Disney-related
Darth
thing.
Vader.
No, not going to go there now. It's a different setup. It's something to do with Disney, and there's going to be a bit of a competition for that. But guys, look here. This is Photoshop. This is my quick keys, and I have it set so that the dial sits here and the buttons sit there nice and comfortable for my hand. I'm left-handed. Some of you guys maybe are right-handed, and you want to sit like this.
Let's see what
and put it to that side.
Yeah.
And you can swap it around. So it's absolutely no issues. You can swap this around. You can change it around so it can be on either side. But if you want to move this dial so it's on the left-hand side as opposed to being way over here, you've got that total flexibility. If you want to keep the dial so it sits this way, then within our quick keys, we can come in and we can customize and we can change the orientation. And I can say, let's have it at 90 degrees. And when I do that, you'll notice that the OLED display actually changes all of the text. So all the text rotates around for me. And if I say, let's put it 180, just here, that's how I like it. Or let's say rename the quick keys or make the quick keys go to sleep. Okay. So if I go and say I want to make the quick keys go to sleep, then I can come into this customize button and I can say sleep timer 30 minutes. So if you think that 50 hours of continuous use isn't long enough for you, then you can come in and you can set up a sleep timer so that after 30 minutes of inactivity, if you don't use it, the quick keys will go to sleep. So it extends the life of the battery. Same for orientation. You can come in and you can change it and you can have it upside down if you want. If I just flick back to this overhead view, so you can see.
So Mika says that I love that you can move the quick keys dial. The ones on Wacom are part of the unit and you can't move them.
That's so true. Yep, I literally have heard so many people say, can you change and customize? Can you configure them? We can change pretty much anything you want, even down to the brightness of this dial, the brightness of the screen. If you think this is too bright, you can customize everything in this setup. And you can say whether you want to keep all these buttons, if you want to change the buttons here at the side, the actual dial that we have. So I have it set to zoom in and out. And I can say whether it's super fast or super slow. And I can change the color of that. I can say the next one is brush size. The next one is brush size, but you can actually customize that so that it's hard or soft. And these are just keyboard commands that you can come in. So I can say, hey, I want to add a keystroke in, and then this is what the keystroke is, or these are all the setup keys. So really it's about what do you do in Photoshop and how you want to work in Photoshop and how you want to customize your quick keys. So I'm going to set mine back to 180, which is here, just so it's on the side. And it just allows me to go in and then configure what I want within Photoshop. So I have a whole series of things that I've set up already within Photoshop. Some things for creating layer masks. And these are all either actions or keyboard commands that I use. And if I just click on the Photoshop and show you my quick keys just here, if I just flick back so it's just me here. So I have one button that just says here, it says open demo. So I'm in Photoshop on my screen. And if I push this one button, so I'm going to set that down and we'll just flick back so that you can see my screen as well. So I'm going to push this one button on the quick keys and it runs an action in Photoshop and it opens up 4 images for me for demonstration purposes. So I love actions.
So how do you set it to like a specific folder of the images?
So the action is open demos, which I've got here on the screen. And it literally is file open. So I run an action within Photoshop and I record it. It goes file open.
So it opens from that particular folder.
Yep. So all my training files sit in Dropbox in a specific folder and I know where they all are. And I just programmed to open up, in this instance, 4 training files. But I didn't have to go file open, file open, file open, file open. Right. I didn't have to go to the hard drive and find the images and select them all and double click. I can pre-program one button on my quick keys to go and jump in. So when I push that button, it opens up those 4 or more if you wanted files straight away, guys.
Nice.
And that just makes things so much easier for me when I'm running through it. So really think about what you do in Photoshop or what you do in Lightroom, what you do in Premiere, what you do in After Effects.
Right. So Mika says that he says, ooh, I could have that button run my frequency separation action. And he's doing a happy dance.
Mika, I have an action in here that says frequency separation. I have one in here that says, I love luminosity masks. So even if I take this image and I look at my channels, you can see what I have here in channels. So if I take my quick keys and I flick across to my quick keys actions, you can see that I have a button in here that says LUM. And when I push that, when I'm in Photoshop, it creates me luminosity masks.
Nice.
One button, click, luminosity masks. And I can just jump through. There are 8 buttons on the quick keys. Right? So there are 8 buttons on the quick keys. And those 8 buttons, 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom, have an extra button at the side, which gives you 5 sets. So you actually have 40 buttons with an OLED display that allows you to see exactly what those buttons are. Anything you're doing in Premiere, in After Effects, in Audition, in Photoshop, in Lightroom, any buttons, any actions, any scripting that you use, you can set it up so it can copy, paste, and format for you automatically, and you can just push one button and away you go. On top of those 40 buttons, we have the dial, and when I push the dial, you can see it changes color and it changes the OLED display. So it tells you what it's going to be next. And if you know your colors, then without even looking at what it says on the display, you know exactly that yellow for me is zoom, the blue's brush size, the green is hard and soft edge, and then we go back to brush size again with blue. Because brush size is something very important for me. If I push this button at the side for the quick keys, you can see I can run through, and there's one of the settings which is actions, which I'll take you to in a second. And I have a button that's in here that says revert. So on my main screen with the image, if I now push the button that says revert, it will actually take this image back to the very start from a demonstration.
Nice.
So it's really about speeding up your workflow. This works for me. It's all about what do you do. There's nothing that I can tell you, this is how you should set up your quick keys. This is the way I want you to set up your quick keys. That's not the way it works. What I actually want is, what do you do in Photoshop, in Lightroom, in Premiere, in After Effects, in any application at all that you use? Doesn't have to be the Adobe apps. It could be any application that you use. It could be your Mac Mail. It could be PC Outlook Mail. I actually have, if I jump into my settings, and I'll just share my screen. So if I go to my quick keys, you can see I have my Mac Mail that's set up here. So I can delete emails just by me clicking a button. So when I'm in my mail program, I hit the delete key. So I don't have to reach across to the keyboard and press the delete key there. So everything's here where it's comfortable for me. If I want to reply, I can reply to an email. Click the button that says reply. Click reply all if there's loads of people in it. If I want to create new email, I don't have to go across, go Command N to create a new file in Photoshop, a new document. I don't have to do that. I can create a quick keys that does that for me. And then I can set up additional options, additional sets. Now you'll notice here that some of these sets are grayed out.
So Ian, Mika says the app can detect what application you're in. I think you can just toggle through, right?
As soon as you jump from one application to the next, whatever you've got set up for that application comes in. So right now I've got Photoshop. So it will automatically change the quick keys to being everything that I've programmed for Photoshop. If I go to Lightroom, you can see I've got a whole new set here. So the minute I flick from Photoshop into Lightroom, then my quick keys automatically changes to show me all the button sets that I need for Lightroom.
Nice.
If I jump back to Photoshop, the quick keys changes automatically for Photoshop.
Excellent.
Automatically, guys. It's just so easy. It just makes sense.
Excellent.
Just makes sense. But guys, any application that you use, you can see I have Microsoft Teams in here. I have After Effects, I have Premiere. I even have my Apple Music. So I can jump to the top of a playlist, go to the bottom of a playlist, or just jump up and down sections, play previous track, next track. I can even customize the volume. So I can spin the dial around, it increases or decreases the volume. And I actually have someone who uses speakers in his gym, in his garage, and he has his sound system connected to his computer. And he would take the quick keys into the garage with him, and he would use it to turn the volume up or down and skip the tracks just by pushing buttons on the quick keys.
Cool.
So it's amazing how people are or finding ways to use it. I do have a nice little 3D printed stand, which is here. Federico is one of our influencers, and he created this for me, personalized it with my name. And all that does is just puts a little bit of an angle to the quick keys. It's not needed. You can use the quick keys just down on its own. But I kind of like it. I think it's kind of nice. It kind of works. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to push some buttons. I'm going to show you what happens in Photoshop and in Lightroom, just so you can see and get a sense as to what we can do and how we can do it. So what I have is open demos. You've seen that. I click the button on the quick keys. It opens up the demo files, and we've got them all in front of us. But I've got others that says lift and reveal, lift and conceal. Okay. The ones beside that is reveal layer mask and conceal. And then I've got ones which say new documents for a black and a white document. So this is really good for me when I'm doing demonstrations. And what I'm going to do is just on my main screen, I'm going to push the button that says document to create me a new document, which is white.
Nice.
So I just push one button. I get a new document. It's white. That's because I have an action in here that says, hey, create me a new document, which is white. And I put a keyboard command beside it. And then I took that keyboard command and popped it into the quick keys. It's as simple as that. Anything you record, give it a keyboard command, pop it into your quick keys. So why do I have this? Well, this is dead easy. I want to literally push the button on the quick keys, jump through to my brushes. I'm going to push the button on my tablet, which is going to give me my brush. And remember, I have the pen configured, so the bottom button will default my colors. The next button on my pen can swap the foreground and background colors. And hopefully you can see that, jumping backwards and forwards. And then what I have is the brush size. So these buttons can be configured that I got default, forwards and backwards for the colors. And now what I have is the wheel on the dial that I can spin around and make my brush nice and big or small, depending on what I want. So what I'm going to do is I've got some buttons programmed here on the quick keys, and the first one says mouse. So anybody who still uses a trackpad or still uses a mouse, whenever they come to use their mouse in their display, then what they basically have is that. That's what you get. Anybody that uses a pen tablet, I'm going to push a button on my quick keys that says size. So now what I have is pressure. If I lean down heavy, cool. I get a nice solid line. If I lean down light, I'm getting a very thin line. And that pressure sensitivity comes down to how I interact with this tablet in this application. Now, how Andrew leans down on the tablet surface could be completely different. Does he do a lot heavy strokes when he leans down, or is he very light-handed and just glides across? That all is individual. That's all down to each person individually. And what we actually give you when we come into the pen pressure and we come in and we say, hey, Photoshop pen pressure, how do you lean down on the tablet surface in Photoshop? I know I'm very heavy-handed, but I can say, no, I'm very soft. And I can customize this to how I work in Photoshop. I can go to one stage further, guys. I can actually come in and I can see how this is going to work. And just by me leaning down heavier on this tablet, I get a little screen of how it's going to work. Do I lean down very light to get wispy lines, or am I the type of person that always leans down heavy? And I've got so much precision and control over this that it's beautiful. The attention to detail on this is just superb. And what I lean down in Photoshop, how I lean down in Photoshop, is different from how I would lean down in Illustrator, because there's two different styles of brushes and types of brushes and ways of working. So it's completely customizable. So when you come to Photoshop and you can say, well, okay, I lean down a certain way in Photoshop, and you can see, you can just paint very nicely and easily whenever you're in Photoshop. Or I'm just going to revert this. I'm going to put a nice new layer here, and I'm going to push a button that instead of size, it now says the word opacity. So opacity basically means, do I lean down light or do I lean down heavier to get a more solid brush? Now, why is that really important? It means that I'm not constantly going up and changing opacity. If I'm using a mouse, I'm having to go up and change opacity constantly. it means that I can control it just by leaning down lighter or heavier. I'm just now scribbling on the screen, which is great. And I'll just go create a new layer. And if I wanted to create a new layer, I can create a button on my quick keys that will do that for me as well. And the last one, which I'm going to create here, is size and opacity. So let me just go in and create a new solid layer. I'll just keep that white, pop it down, and I'm going to take my brush. So you can see I just push brush on the keyboard, and I'm going to push the one that says size and opacity. So now, if I lean down, I can get a small thin line, or I can get a thick solid line.
Cool.
And I've got full control over that. Hopefully you can see that little wispy line that comes all the way around. Now, why is that important? Well, what we're actually giving you here is industry standard professional level tablet with over 8,000 levels of pressure. 8,000 levels of pressure is a big number. What it basically means is you've got complete customizable control over how you're going to retouch a photograph, of how you're going to fix little wisps of hair if you want to cut out hair, if you want to try and fix the fringing that's in here. I know some photographers actually have brushes, which are hair brushes. Aaron Blaze, if you go and follow his Creature, I can't remember if Dave's still online. Creature Art, that's what it is. It's Creature Art, where you can actually purchase his hair and fur extensions for brushes.
Interesting.
And you can actually brush in different levels of hair and fur all around. So the pressure sensitivity really comes to play whenever you're doing this type of thing. So I'm going to just take I'll take this image. One of the buttons on my quick keys that I've actually got set up, I can just cycle through. You see loads of them here. One of them basically says lift and conceal. Okay, so I've got a layer and I want to lift it and conceal it. So I push one button and everything disappears. But if you know Photoshop, then you can see here in the layer panel, it's taken the image, it's lifted it, it's put it onto a new layer, and it's added in a layer mask. All by pushing one button.
Nice.
So why, some people ask me? Well, now that I've got a nice empty white screen and I've got a mask over here, then the standard principles of Photoshop basically means that I can come in, and if I lean down nice and easy on the screen, I can start painting it back and bringing it in. Cool. Now, I've lift conceal and I've lift reveal. Reveal just does the opposite style of mask. I'm going to push the quick keys button, and I'm going to jump in and I'm going to push what's called an edge button. So again, I've got another button here on my quick keys programmed for an edge. And if you're wondering how I do that, then up at the top of your screen, you can set up a whole series of different styles of brushes. So you configure your brush, you set it up the way you want it, and then you save that brush in. I then record an action that basically calls that button in. It records what I'm doing when I pick that brush. That's it. Just an action that basically will say, go and find the edge brush, select tool presets, edge brush. That's it. Why? Well, what that allows me to do is, if I just default my brushes and swap that around, is it allows me to give a little bit of an edge to this, and I can swap it, and I can paint it in. I'm just leaning down heavy, so I can start to get a little bit of an edge effect coming around the image. And if I lean down at different strengths, then I can start pulling that image back in again very quickly, but by different opacity around the outside. And it's a different style of brush. If I say, hey, give me the grunge black or grunge white brush, basically means that I can come in with a different style of brush. And yes, I can make that brush bigger or smaller, depending on what I want. And the bigger it is for this brush, you'll see the kind of effect that it is around the edge, where I can kind of go like that. So from a piece of art, I'm taking your image to kind of pull it through to be a bit more artistic. It speeds up. So I'm not having to constantly go and change my brush, select my brush, try and figure out what my brush is giving me. I'm just taking some of this off in this area. And you notice my hand hasn't went anywhere near the keyboard when I'm doing this. Everything is pre-programmed down onto my quick keys, down onto my tablet, or down onto the pen, depending on what I do or what I want to do. And I do this in Premiere, I do this in After Effects. As I've said, it's not just one application. There are so many applications that I can use this for. And I say this is just me very quickly in Photoshop. I mentioned earlier, Mika was talking, and I mentioned earlier that I use actions quite a bit. So if I wanted to, I could come in. I have a button on my quick keys that says LUM for luminosity masks. And this is the first one. And in the set that I've got, if I just call up my set for quick keys for Photoshop, I've got a set. I've named it actions. You can see I can come in and rename. I've just named this one actions. And I put an action in here, which is Shift and F9. I've also got select subject and things like that in here, or anything else that you want to put in. You have 40 buttons that you can configure. Plus, you've got 4 on the dial that you can customize. So there should be no excuse why you're running out. Oh, also, as an added extra, if you really think that you're going to run out of 40 buttons and you need more, then you can actually plug in 2 quick keys to the one computer. So you can actually have 80 buttons and 8 buttons on the dial. So you can have 88 buttons to configure all the actions and all the programming that you need.
Wow.
Because it works right across the board. So guys, just very quickly, if I'm in here, I push LUM. It doesn't look as if it's done anything, but in the background, it's given me all of my highlights and shadow areas that I can then go and start pulling out masks and creating masks. If I jump into Lightroom very quickly and I hold up my quick keys, just like this, so you can see I'm in Lightroom, but my quick keys now says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pick and reject. So that's my first screen on quick keys. And if I actually flick through, you can see rotate L, rotate R, clipping, target hue saturation, reject photographs, all the things that I would use within Lightroom, even down to tools. So let me give you a quick demo of what I would do if I'm using this with Lightroom as well. First things first is the ratings. If I'm in and I click an image and I say, well, do I like that image? Do I want to give it a rating? So what I can do, I can either spin the dial around and program that for ratings, or I can say, well, that's a number 1 or a number 5 or 0. What do I think of that image? If I wanted to, I could program it so 1 to 5, and then I can actually zoom in and out to have a better look at it. You can see here with the dial, I can zoom in and out. If I wanted to, I could program the dial so that it actually moves me on to the next image. I don't like that. I prefer to kind of just jump through the images and say which ones I like and which ones I don't like, and whether I want to pick or reject. Now, here's a question for you. For those of you who use Lightroom, okay, so I'm just going to flick over to me just for 1 second.
Right.
For those of you who use Lightroom Classic or Lightroom Mobile, Lightroom CC, it's a big question. That's a big thing.
I'm a classic fan. I'm more of a classic fan, yeah. But mobile is picking up momentum with a lot of people. So,
yeah. So depending on what you use, whether you use Classic or you use Lightroom Mobile, the keyboard commands in both of those Adobe applications are slightly different. And a lot of people knew that. I prefer Classic and then share my libraries to different clients, but different people do different things. And the Xencelabs quick keys will allow you to program it for Classic or program it for Lightroom CC. Doesn't matter which one you use. Just works straight out of the box. Excellent. I'm going to share my quick key settings and how I've programmed all of mine on the Xencelabs websites very shortly, within the next few weeks. So if you're using an Apple Mac system, you'll be able to download them fairly quickly. If you're using a PC, I'll have them converted over within the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, so you can run through. Now, there is something that I want to show, and this is something really, really important for me. If I want to rotate left or rotate right, then I have here a button that I can rotate left and rotate right, rather than coming in and start hitting these little arrows that's at the bottom of the image. Now, there is no keyboard command for rotate left or rotate right if you go through any of the library Lightroom menus. There's no keyboard command for that. I'm on an Apple Mac system, and if you'll excuse me while I jump into my system preferences and my keyboard and my shortcuts and my application shortcuts, Because I'm using an Apple Mac, I can actually program it so that the Apple Mac will know that I'm using Lightroom Classic, and it can flip horizontal, or it can flip vertical, or it can rotate, and I can add in keyboard commands that I need. So I don't know how to do that on a PC just yet, but we're going to explore that over the next week or two. So if there are any commands that you can't see, you can program them in your system like a little macro or script that then allows you to jump through. Now, guys, this is something. Let me just switch over to the top view, and I'll take this image on screen, so you can see both my screen and this.
Right.
Now, guys, I'm in Lightroom. I'll just jump into the develop module, and I have some buttons pre-programmed on my quick keys that says T80J HUE. Target adjustment hue, target adjustment saturation, target adjustment luminosity, luminous. Okay, now those three little buttons on my screen within Lightroom appear in the develop module down here. There's my hue, saturation, luminous, and there's my little targeting button that I can click on. And instead of me having to come away from the subject, come down here, click on luminous, click on the targeting button, and then come back, I don't have to click on any one of these. I've got three buttons set up on my quick keys. So let's do saturation. So push the button that says saturation. You can see that saturation is selected and the adjustment panel is there. And I can literally come in and say I want more or I want less saturation. So I'm just changing the target saturation for that color that I'm selecting.
So it keeps you in the flow. Keeps you in the flow much better.
Oh, Andrew, absolutely, dude. It just lets you stay exactly on the image, exactly where you want to change. And if I go to the luminous values, I can come through, I can just change them. Very simple, very easy. Cool. I don't have to keep coming over to the sidebar in order to make adjustments. Now, for those of you who say you use Lightroom Classic, then if you're using either a mouse or a trackpad, or even if you're using another competitor's tablet, and even if you've got one of the remotes that's out there, or extra buttons and dials, I guarantee that you jump up and down through the treatment panel and you wing your slider bars is a phrase that's been used, or you click in the circle, the number system at the side, and you start reaching across and keying in numbers and hitting the OK button. But most people come in and they start moving the slider bars up and down.
Okay. Ian, real quick, something that you did with your hand gesture makes it so that your the view of your tablet is a little out of focus. There we go. It's coming back in.
Let's go like that, and we'll just get you back in. Thanks,
Looks
guys.
Great.
Apologies for that. So here's the thing, guys. Most of the times you're going to jump up and down through these panels in Lightroom so you can configure your image and make it better. So what I've actually got on my quick keys is if I jump through, I have a little button that says Treatment D and Treatment U. I don't suppose anybody can guess what D and U stands for. Because if you jump back to my main screen, if I push Treatment D, then it jumps down through the treatment values. So it's jumping straight down through each and every single one of them. Modifies exposure, highlights, shadows, whites. It's going down through the list. And if I go Treatment U, it's going up through the lists. So do you know what, guys? If I go to exposure, then I can use the dial and I can either zoom in. If I push the exposure button, I can then increase or decrease the exposure instead of having to come across and pull little slider bars up and down. If I go up, I can go from exposure to tint. I go down, I can go into contrast. I'm just really playing with this image right now. If I come down, there's the highlights. I'm really just playing with this image. Don't shout at me for what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you that this is all controlled by the quick keys. My mouse, my cursor, my pen is still sitting here, and I've got full control over the treatment panel. If I go down, there's the whites, the blacks, and I can just spin with the dial. I can push the down button, and I'm going through each and every single one of those little buttons.
Cool.
So I don't have to come across and say, oh, maybe I want more shadows. Do you want that? Is that good? Is that good? I'm constantly jumping from one area to another, looking at the bar, looking at on screen, I don't have to do that, guys. If I'm on that panel, then I can spin the dial. If I want, my little pinky finger can go to the down button or go to the up button, while my other finger sits and rests on the dial itself.
Nice.
So it just makes things so much more easier. A couple of other things is I've got a button for the lights out.
You become a Lightroom DJ with this.
You really do. Even before and after buttons, so you like to see what you've done before and after, or 2 before and afters, so you can split them, so you can see what you've done. All of this is just programmable straight into the quick keys. If I want to hide the film strip, keyboard commands to hide and show or hide the left panel. It's what do you need whenever you're using Lightroom? How do you program Lightroom? What do you need to do in Lightroom for these buttons? And to program these buttons is just going through the configuration panel and saying on screen, here's my quick keys, here's my Lightroom Classic, what buttons do I want to put in?
Great. Cool.
So guys, I wanted just to take the time today to run through and show you just how this all works and what you can do. And I've done some demonstration in Photoshop and some within Lightroom. I could show you Premiere, where I have JKL. If anyone uses Premiere and they scrub forwards and backwards, then JKL are 3 keys in the keyboard. L scrubs you through very quickly, and every time you press L, it goes faster. Every time you press J, it goes backwards faster. K stops. Those little things, adding in markers, doing ripple edits, adding in things like that into Premiere just makes it so much faster and so much easier. Even using the dial to scrub forwards and backwards through your timeline. I also have a button on my pen that allows me just to lift the whole timeline and scrub the whole timeline over, which is something that people do when they're using a mouse with a scroll wheel, so they can scroll across. So everything that you're doing with the mouse or with a trackpad can actually be done using the quick keys and the pen tablet and the pen.
Nice.
So it just makes it so much easier.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Megan's asked just in the chat, I've just seen it there coming up, is there a brush tilt detection in the pen? And yes, there is. We do have tilt within the pen, 60-degree angle of tilt. So if you use your Photoshop brushes and you use your tilt brushes, some really cool ones you can get there in Photoshop, then you can make full use of the tilt as you're drawing within Photoshop or any of the applications. Painter also has that facility in it. I know quite a few people that use Painter as well as Photoshop, and they jump in and out of the 2 apps side by side. So,
and John says, "I love it. Sign me up. Calling the Minister of Finance now, also known as the wife."
If you need a business case written up, John, and you need a presentation and a slide deck to help push that through, just let me know. Happy to help. So, guys, I really just wanted to take time. I don't want to take too much time. I could talk all day on this. And I've done some presentations and demonstrations in the past on this. What I really want to do is thank Andrew for giving me the time to talk here today and to be partner with us today. Andrew has one of our tablets and is going to be using the tablet going forward. And we're going to be helping him showcase that tablet to others as well. And we really appreciate his support and the network here.
And, let's remind everyone that we have a 10% off that we can offer people if they use my code Andrew2022. And you can go to that link, which I'll also have in the recording on YouTube. So, bit.ly, Xencelabs tablets. I sometimes want to put that X in there, but Xencelabs tablets. Yeah. And then you can.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Just makes sense. Guys, really, thank you very much for watching. It's much appreciated and taking the time out of your busy schedules to listen in. If you're watching this on the replays and things like that, it's all good. You can leave comments and either Andrew or myself will come back to you. Right.
And let's not forget that you can find Xencelabs on Instagram, xencelabs.emea, Facebook, Xencelabs EMEA, and then Twitter, Xencelab_EMEA, YouTube, Xencelabs. So there they are.
So I'm based in Belfast, which is north of Ireland, part of the UK. And the links that we've popped up there are the EMEA's, EMEA, which is the European offices. But it's just Xencelabs US for the US teams, or just Xencelabs on its own
Right. I mean,
for
if
the
you do a
main global
search,
company.
if you do a
Yep.
search
You can
for
do
Sense
searches, of
Labs,
course.
you'll find it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, let's give some respect to Ian. Did a great job today. So feel free to follow him on Facebook at Ian W. Sayers, also at LinkedIn, Ian Sayers. And where's the I thought there was an Instagram one too, but I think the Instagram one was maybe the Xencelabs one you gave me. But yeah, so we got some comments coming in. So yeah, let's see. Andrea says this was awesome. Thanks, Ian. And,
happy to help.
Jeff says, thank you, Andrew and Ian, for a most interesting as well as entertaining and eye-opening presentation. Thanks for being here, Jeff. John says, thank you, gents. And Bobby, thanks, guys. Pretty happy with mine so far. So we got someone who's already using it. Excellent. Mika says, thanks, Ian. William says, great job. I love my tablet. And Mika says, thanks, Andrew. Excellent. And Facebook user, thank you, which might be Dave Clayton. So thanks, everyone. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for checking it out with Ian. He did an excellent job. He will be back. We will do more. So maybe we'll go in and like work on a project together, something like that. So we'll focus on, you know, project by project demonstration. But once again, just to remind everyone, you can get 10% off. Yeah, you get 10% off that Xencelabs tablets when you use the code Andrew2022. Xencelabs tablets. Cool.
Make use of it, guys. The discount codes are to help you guys. The whole price package for when you've got the tablet, the quick keys, all the pens, the cables, and everything else, the 2 pens that come in the case, is less expensive compared to other brands that's out there, and better quality, and with the OLED display that comes on the quick keys. And if you didn't want to go for the bundle deal, then the discount code still works if you're just going to be purchasing the small tablet. Or the medium tablet on its own.
So 10% off.
Make use of it.
10% off any tablet at Xencelabs, correct?
It is, Andrew. It should be set up already and good to go. There are some really nice things that's going to come up after this with Andrew, and certainly we've talked about other programs and other things which are going to be running. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit that little thumbs up and like button for Andrew and for what he's doing. Give a little kudos and respect back to Andrew because he works tirelessly within the industry for what he does, and it's amazing to be part of it and work with him.
Yeah, you can watch all my videos, help me get those time hours I need to go into the next step on YouTube. So you can follow me at Digital Art Drew on YouTube if you aren't already. So, and I see that Heinrich said, hopefully I see you both sometime in the future. So I do believe that Ian will be coming over from Ireland to Los Angeles for Adobe Max in October. Correct, Ian?
100% signed up, schedule's done. I'm looking forward to being there. I'm part of the ACP network, the Adobe Community Professionals, which I know some folks here are as well. And I've already booked all my lab sessions. Excellent. I had my flights and hotel booked as soon as Adobe Max was sorted last year. Cool. Even before becoming the TA at Max this year, I had everything booked and sorted, and I was going to Adobe Max in person, regardless of what's happening. But I'm going to be a TA there, so I'm looking forward to connect with people. And
Xencelabs should have like a booth there, correct? They will have.
We are going to be at Lightbox, which is a few days before Adobe Max, and we'll have a booth at Lightbox, and we'll also have our own booth at Adobe Max, where we're going to have some artists at the booth doing some demonstrations during Adobe Max, and I'm also going to be running some training sessions at the booth. So come by, say hello, bring coffee. As I said, my chief title
bring
is
lots
Chief
of coffee.
Drinker. Bring lots of coffee. Should be good fun. There'll be some prizes and some giveaways as well. So make sure you call by and say hello.
Yeah, it sounds great. Great. Yeah, this was truly excellent. So thank you so much, Ian. And thanks everyone for attending. And as usual, I will be posting the link to the recording in the various Facebook groups, Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, YouTube. So subscribe to Digital Art Drew on YouTube, and always keep your eye in the Facebook groups on the top pinned post. The top pinned post, that's where all the news is, the events, the links to these wonderful live events. And since we just passed 300,000 members, please keep your eye out for the top pin post for a contest coming up. I think we will be giving away either a 6-month of the all app plan for Adobe Creative Cloud, or 12 months if you are on the photography plan, which is the Photoshop Lightroom plan. So pretty generous. I think we'll have 2 of those to give away. So keep your eye on the top pinned post. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Ian. It was really great. And Andrea says, yay, I'll see you all at Max.
Looking forward to it, Andrea. Andrea, getting a hug. Just saying, I'm a hugger. Getting a hug.
Great. This was really great. Thank you so much, Ian. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for your time.